Ne hahik manayan matsiwa, ne Tewa epkita ne kaewangwa. My Hopi name is Hahai Imana, which means Mother of the Kachinas, and there are others that are initiated into the same ceremony I'm initiated into. On Hopi, I'm from Tewa village, so I'm Tewa Corn Clan. My mother is, my grandmother, my Saya, was full-blooded Tewa. So my mother is half Tewa and half Hopi because her father was Hopi as well. So I just wanted to introduce myself, and I want to introduce the panel here because this is always an emotional time for me at the closing because there's so many things that we all experienced and everybody shared so much information and your mind's just going on all the possibilities of what you can do, take back to your people, to hopefully use within your communities. So I'd like to introduce the panel. And the purpose of bringing the youth and elders together is to have them share their insight about the important issues that we're all facing. And it's not just one nation, one tribe. All of us are facing the same issues. And so that's where we find that interdependence. And okay, so I want to introduce Lauryn Clown. She's the Land Grant Operations Specialist from United Tribes Technical College from Bismark, North Dakota. Hawthorne Dukepoo, Assistant Builder, Workshop Instructor, and he works with his parents' organization, Hopi Tutskwa Permaculture Institute from Kykotsmovi, Arizona. The third panelist is Hope Flanagan. She's the Community Outreach and Cultural Teacher, Dream of Wild Health from here, Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's Linda Bane Frizzell. She's the Director of American Indian Health and Wellness Studies, School of Public Health, and from the University of Minnesota. And Beverly Warne, South Dakota State University College of Nursing, Rapid City, South Dakota. And Rivianna, did I say that right? Rivianna Zeller, Distributions Coordinator, Dream of Wild Health, Minneapolis, Minnesota. These are our closing panelists, and what I'd like you guys to all do, I'll go ahead and start with Lauryn. I know I introduced you, but go ahead and introduce yourself, maybe if you want to introduce yourself in your own language and what you would like to share.
Thank you. Betu washte mataki api. Chante washte na bechu api ksto. Lauryn Clown amachi api na Lakota api kapap dewi mie ksto. Haspa washte otua he awati ksto. Wakpa washte o yanke hemachaha ksto. Good day, my relatives. I shake your hand with a good heart. My English name is Lauryn Clown, but my Lakota name is translated to Escaped Woman. I live in Bismark, North Dakota currently, but I come from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe in South Dakota. And I'm very grateful to be here and for this opportunity. This conference all conferences are so eye-opening and a breath of fresh air and an answered prayer to be at. I'm sorry if I seem a little jumbled up. There's kind of some stuff going on recently with my grandpa, so it's kind of taken my mind away from things a little bit. But yeah.
Hello everyone. Ne Hawthorne Dukepoo yan pahan machiwa ne umtima yan Hopi machiwa panik yang Kykotsmovi sinam ne pipunga. My name is Hawthorne Dukepoo. I come from the village or settlement of Kykotsmovi, located on 3rd Mesa. And I am Pipunga, which is a tobacco clan. And my Hopi name is Umtima, which is the thunder. I'm named to the Fog clan. So that's a little bit of who I am. And yeah, like Val said, I work with my parents' nonprofit, Hopi Tutskwa Permaculture Institute, and we just do a lot of work around farming, dry farming, and subsistence farming, and a lot of watershed restoration, spring restoration, focusing on riparian areas, a lot of trail work, erosion control, orchard keeping, beekeeping, and just many more stuff. But yeah, that's a little bit of what I do.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear. Yeah, there you go. It's good to be here once more. I'm really grateful to see all these beautiful faces. Welcome to this community. Maybe some of you have heard that Minneapolis, St. Paul, we seem to be a place where things get stirred. This is where the American Indian movement started. And I remember being in AIM back in the day where we would drive up and down the Franklin Avenue and try to make sure that our children and our young ladies were safe. I've been working at Dream of Wild Health now for 15 summers, and it's such a gift that I get to be there and with so many wonderful co-workers. I'm Seneca, Turtle Clan, but when I came here and we were little and the people were so kind to us, my family, that my mom would always say, go help that elder, go help that elder. They need something, they need plants. Usually that's what it was. And they'd say, go fetch this. And then these elders, they told me, you got to learn how to speak Ojibwe because those plants are going to talk to you in Ojibwe. And so that's why I'm speaking in that language, because back in those days, and you'll still hear it from the old ones up north, they'll say you get taken in by a family, and that's how you are then. How bujunin dinawe magani duk nuj nudenetsikwe indigo mikanat nindu name hawanish konagining indunjaba Dream of Wild Health in Danoki. Migwishke kinawia giwi pijaego manungum. Aho.
OCO, everyone. I think you can probably hear me okay. I am committed to my dedication to not only protect myself but others from COVID. I'm sorry to say that there's new variants coming, and just to urge you to check accurate information about what the new variants are doing and about the vaccines. But before I can talk about myself, I do have to acknowledge, and those of us that have been elders for a while, we can feel the elders that used to sit up here on this stage with us. And so it's our responsibility to acknowledge that. But more importantly, in your home tribes or homelands, wherever you live, reach out to your elders. Elders are the history of your tribe. I truly wish that whenever I was a child, I would have paid more attention, but I didn't like doing this plant stuff. I'd rather be out in the woods, either hunting or helping my father. And so I kind of regret that now because I don't know a lot of the things that I should know. But please respect your elders. Ask them before it's lost forever. Because once our elders leave this earth, that knowledge goes with them. So please, please ask them. And my English name is Linda Bane Frizzell. My Indian name is Oqawtoynani. I live north of here on the Leech Lake Reservation. Lived there for 52 years now. And I really, really appreciate this conference. I see a lot of new faces, and I haven't been here for 3 years because of COVID. So I'm sad about that, but it's good to catch up with folks that I haven't seen for a while. But in the same sense, I hope this conference, Mindy tells me, it's the highest we've ever had participate. So woohoo for that. So please feel free to ask us. We are here to help. I still work full-time at my age because I like to work, and I do feel a responsibility. All of us feel the responsibility to help our younger people. Well, anybody, actually, not to be young or not. But so we do this because we do accept that responsibility. So feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
My name is Bev Warne. Excuse me, I've been up here before. Excuse me. My Lakota name is Chantewi, which means cedar woman. And that name was given to me at birth by my female aunties and my unchi. So they knew right off the bat what my name would be and what that means. And what it means to me now, after having lived this long, is that I have responsibility, like Linda just said. We have responsibilities that just keep going until we can't perform them anymore. So that's what my plan is. And I'm enjoying it actually because I'm working as a nurse, not in the clinical site, but as an advisor and a mentor for Lakota student nurse. And it's the most wonderful job that I could ask for at the end of my career. And so that's what I do in Rapid City. And then I go to places people invite me to give a talk or share what I know. And I'm very happy to do that at this stage of my life. And so I'm happy to be here. Every time I come up here and I look at all your faces, it just gives me more energy to keep doing what we're doing, all of us. Lamaya.
Wally?
Hi, I'm Rivianna. I'm a descendant of the Bad River Band of Ojibwe people. I'm also Mexican and German, second generation city native. I'm the farmer and distributions coordinator with German Wild Health in my second season. And this is my first time at this conference. And I'm just really excited to be here and meet so many people doing this with me.
Thank you. Well, just wanted to really touch on what Linda said. She talked about spending time with your parents and grandparents. And this year really brought it full circle for me when this happened with my father. My father is, in our family, is the last fluent speaker in Hopi. And my mother is the last fluent Tewa speaker in our family. And so for us, we were trying to learn since the pandemic happened, we were trying to learn and doing Zoom sessions and switching with Hopi and Tewa. And when this happened with him, we all had to take a step back from everything and make sure that they were taken care of. And that's okay. That's okay to slow down and to slow your roll. But I just wanted to share that it's really important right now. What you do right now is really important because they may not be here. You know, who's promised tomorrow? You know, so really think about that. Think about what Linda said. Be careful about, you know, how you walk within these next couple of years because it's going to have an impact. So I just wanted to share that with you because it brought back what I was thinking in the back of my mind. We'll start with the questions because I can see we're already moving down with the time. What I wanted to ask all of you, and you can take your, we'll start with you, Lauryn. Was there any time in your life that you felt overwhelmed and that you wanted to stop doing the work you were doing?
Not necessarily stop the work that I'm doing. It's just, I feel like there's times where I get into ruts. Like I started at United Tribes after I graduated. I graduated in May this year, so I started my full-time job. There's in sustainable agriculture from United Tribes as well. Then I started my full-time job at United Tribes May of this year as well. And I've had a full-time job where it's 40 weeks or 40 hours a week before, but I guess I'm used to being a student, and I'm always going to be a student. I'm always going to be learning, and I miss that. I miss that part of my job. So, so there's times where I feel like I need to know it all, when I'm working with students. But in those times, I feel like I can get overwhelmed. But there's people that I can turn to in my circle that support me and are like, hey, it's okay. You don't have to have all the answers. You're not supposed to know everything right now. Okay. And I'm thankful for those people in my life that I can turn to and that support me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Hawthorne, did you want me to read it again?
No.
No, okay.
I guess for me, I'm always overwhelmed. Being a dryland farmer out where I am, it's hard work and there's always something to do. And yeah, it's just a lot of stuff to take in. protecting my my crops from all the little critters, and everything's hungry out there, so they all want something. But yeah, that's how I am, and I just try to keep myself calm and try to do my thing and do what I'm doing, and try to get the young ones to come with me, and yeah, just try to get as much help as I can.
I'd like to share a couple of.
Yeah.
He's wonderful. I just want to share a couple of things. When I was young, like these two, I remember being in Minneapolis on Franklin Avenue there, and there was an elder, Bill Chatfield was his name, from White Earth. And he said, there's 7 prophecies. They've all come true. We're on the one right now that said, and then Mother Earth is going to go through a great cleansing sweat bath. And at the time, we thought it was going to be nuclear problems because we were closer to World War II, right? We didn't know anything about climate change. He did talk too about when the very last first language speaker leaves us, that will be things really change. So all of you that are here, we're here on this earth, not by accident. We all have gifts. Every single one of you has a gift, and you're here for a reason, and you're brave to be here. You know, I think this is a time that's not easy. So we're being called to be here to live up to some of these responsibilities that our elders knew, our relatives from a long time ago, and the spirits still know that these responsibilities are coming. I just want to share a quick story. The lady who had this dream of Wild Health, her name was Sally Ojeg. And she had this dream, and it came true, and it's been beautiful. When she was getting ready to leave this world, she kept giving me these gifts. She gave me this bag, and I looked in there and said, I don't even know what this is. It looked like corn ground up with turquoise in it. And when I did the plant walk on Friday, that wild plant walk, I saw this wonderful young man take out a pouch that looked like that, and he took it out of his bag, and that was it. I was like, oh, no wonder why I brought it to the conference. It's supposed to go with him. That's what we're here for, us elders. We're here to pass it on to them.
Amen. Thank you.
I've often been told by other folks that I have a snapping turtle mentality because I never let go. I truly don't. Unless there's something that prohibits me from doing what I need to do. In fact, total strangers have told me that patience is not one of my virtues. And I'm like, okay. But realistically, I've been honored over my career to be appointed to national committees. I was actually a technical writer for the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act, and I learned so much from that because within our group, we had the best lawyers in all of the country. And so they learned from and there's a couple other folks that were grassroots and clinic directors, and we learned from each other. And from that experience, it taught me that American Indians and Alaska Natives have really gotten the short side of the straw. And I say that because I fight to this very day trying to help people to understand, number one, we're not a racial group. We are a political group because of our sovereign status of our relationships with our tribes. That's a big deal if you think about it, being a political group. And I say that because the laws are written that they are specific to American Indians and Alaska Natives, like hiring preference for one. I have a hard time explaining that to my students, and it usually takes me a couple tries, but they eventually get it. But those specific laws are what are going to, in the end, save. Now, I've been doing this policy work for so many years, that's what stresses me out. I mean, you work night and day. Whenever we're working on the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act, it was like 3 and 4 in the morning, and someone looks at the clock and goes, oh my God. So better go back to your hotel and get a couple hours sleep. But that's what we did. And we loved it. We have never complained. Of course, that was in hiatus. We presented it to Congress October 4th, 1999. Congress said, thank you. I'm like, don't you understand? We have a consensus document here from all the tribes. This has never happened on Earth before. Eventually, 10 years later, it was tagged on to the Affordable Care Act, and it was passed in perpetuity now. But seriously, I really urge people that like to do policy to step up. It is a commitment. I never tire of it. At the university, I've had to help some folks to understand what the law is, and I'm glad to do so. I teach 6 classes, and we have different things that the students learn the history. The most common thing I hear from my students is, why don't we learn this in history class? That's a very good question. And then what prevails are all these myths. And I teach a class tonight, and it's post-colonization history and historical trauma. And within that, we were called savages, we were called dirty, we were called just awful. And so a lot of that still sticks with young kids. They still show it on cartoons. So we have to help people understand who we are honorable, and we have, what I tell every student, indigenous knowledge that can help everyone.
Thank you as well.
So we all have to do that. What exactly that Linda just said about telling people who we are. Because many people are asking and are curious, but maybe have not even known enough to ask that question. I need to know more about myself, my language, my culture. We heard that a lot when we were getting our program started 8 years ago. And at the time, I thought, well, we could do something about that now. Because in Rapid City, we have quite a number of elders in our community who would really enjoy telling others who they are and sharing a piece of our culture with them. And so that's what we did immediately. We didn't have to wait for anyone. We just called it Wahampi Nawa Uspe, which means stoop and learn. And we have that once a month. And there's always people waiting to be part of it. So that was the easiest part was that. And to the students, that was the hardest part, to even admit they wanted to know more about who they are. So that part is easy. You could share what you know about yourself, your tribe, what you know about Native people. Share it. Don't keep it to yourself. And I think that one thing, if we could do that, including the young ones that are coming up, would keep in mind and just good. Then we would all be better off in terms of knowing, teaching our younger people who they are. And so I think we lost track of our original question. she said,
That's fine.
what,
Oh, the question was there any time in your life that you felt so overwhelmed that you wanted to stop the work that you were doing?
Oh, several times, of course. I live a normal life, and when I lost my husband, I guess that was most recent, and I didn't feel like I wanted to go on. But I had a lot of friends and family, others around me to help me through that time. And so, of course, with time, I did get over that feeling, and I could have been retired a couple times then, but I choose to keep going because I enjoy it. And so that would be the most recent, that I had that feeling that it was done for me, because it is. It isn't.
Thank you. We're so grateful you never stopped. Thank you.
For me, I'm with Hawthorne. I'm overwhelmed most of the time and spend a lot of time trying to take care of myself so I can keep going despite being overwhelmed. I think the time that came up for me when you asked this question it just made me think about how I didn't really grow up in our community at all. I was 17 the first time I started meeting my family and talking to other Native people despite growing up in the city, and I was really overwhelmed. Everyone was very loving and like welcomed me with open arms, but I didn't know what it meant to be Native. I didn't for a really long time. So I'm still overwhelmed and still learning and grateful for all the knowledge that I'm continuously finding about what it means to be Native and how to live in a good way.
Oh, you. Thank you for sharing. I feel it's really important to share those moments because I know a lot of us go through that at different times in our lives, and just more recently, when we're sitting here, I was talking to Professor Shetty, and he said to me, I shared with him what happened with my father, and then he turns to me and he says, "So you're gonna carry on his work." And I told my daughter, I said, it just struck me like a thunderbolt. I was like, I wanted to cry. And I was like, I'm not ready, but then I have to be ready. And then I thought about what Nephi said, don't live in fear and live your truth. So just calming myself down. And this was just right before we came on stage. So anyways, I want to, the next question is going to be for the youth. So how do you begin to situate yourself in this legacy, the legacy of our ancestors?
Remembering everything that my ancestors have been through. Remembering that, like, I love coming to Native conference because there was one point in our history where this many people coming together was in a boarding school to get our ways of life stripped away from us. So remembering all the hardships that they went through, yet they still were prayed for us, for us to be here now to do the work that we're doing, all the work that you're all doing. Remembering everything that they went through so we could be here. And my grandparents, they've given their entire lives and continue to today for not only myself, but my siblings and my entire family. The way they choose to walk their life as strong Lakota man and woman from Lakota reminds us and reminds me and teaches me to also be a strong Lakota Leon every day and to fight for what's right. Because when you fight for what's right, you don't lose.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was the question again?
Okay. The question was, how do you begin to situate yourself in this legacy, the legacy of our ancestors?
I guess for me, I found myself as a little boy. I've always been kind of doing a lot of farming and a lot of building, orchard keeping too. Just all the stuff that the old ones used to do a long time ago. A lot of people still do that today in Hopi. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's not every day I speak in front of a large crowd. Yeah, just remembering what our people went through too out there, and we're always in cahoots with or not in cahoots, head to head with certain entities too. That's all a part of our history, and it's not being really taught in our schools, talked about, due to the influence of our, sorry to say it, but our puppet tribal council. Yeah, that's a little bit of what I
Thank you, Hawthorne. So I had to twist Hawthorne's arm. I was asking him to come and talk and share because I really admire this young man in a time where there isn't too many young men who are living the life that he's living on Hopi. And there's more. There are some out there that are really strong-minded like him and think in this way that he thinks. But there's also a lot of young men who are astray. And I feel like his influence and him talking and speaking and sharing his experiences, they'll be able to relate a little bit more. So I just really want to encourage him all the time to continue to speak up and speak his truth. So I was really grateful he finally said yes to come. He's like, yes. So, okay, the question, Steve.
Yeah, I think about this question, and I think about someone asking me once what kind of ancestor I want to be, and that's how I situate myself. There's an image that Hope has described to me before of like a straw, like we're taking in all this knowledge and all these things to just pass them on to the next people after us, and that's how I fit myself in. I'm doing this work so that the people after me don't have to reach so far and don't have to work so hard. That's how I try to fit in.
Escuela. Okay, and this is for the elders here. What do you feel this time is asking of us?
Oh, gee. I believe that I want to say this. I worked with the little bitty ones in the Ojibwe immersion classroom. And what I've heard is, those little spirits that come here, they can remember what happened before this time. So sometimes they'll look at you and they'll go like, I remember when, and this little boy did this. He goes, I remember when I was your mom and you were the little baby. And so in that way that I was taught is, in that spirit world, we come here, we talk it over and say, what are the lessons we're going to learn through that hard time when we're on earth? And there's a doorway. We come through that doorway and we live this life. And then we go back out that doorway. So us grandparents and great-grandparents were really close to those little babies. And those little babies are so knowledgeable because they can sometimes remember. So right now we're being shown there's big, big challenges out in this world. Climate change is here to stay. And it's not just going to stay in one place. So for me, every day that I can, I'm out in the woods and I'm seeing what's going on with the plants, what's going on with the water, what's going on with the food sources. Oh my gosh, I've got whole stories about what's going on with the wild rice. This community here, the wild rice, a new species of wild rice has returned and they're ricing again for the first time in 100 years. Wow. Just like Prairie Island, the Dakota Island Prairie Island community. Ricing again for the first time in 100 years. So there's things happening. Pay attention to our elders, the plants, the insects, the animals, and we'll find out. We'll find this one day at a time. There'll be those days that I see Riv out there in 100 plus heat index, working away. Smoke that's so bad we're not even supposed to be outside, working away on the farm. And it's like, gosh, we have to do this. We have to have food, no matter what happens next. As human beings, we have to have good, clean food. Money's not going to count. It's going to be clean water, clean air, clean food.
I have a story I'd like to share. We all like to tell stories, right? But, I've been around long enough. I've watched culture change multiple times. And so everybody, and I teach a cultural humility class, everybody has their own culture. But the point I would like to make is how the respect and involvement of the elders has actually improved from whenever I was small. And what I was taught as a youngster, you always tell your elders yes. I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm an elder here. Listen up, students. But seriously, each person's culture is going to drive what they do. You learn from the first moment you can visualize what's good, what's bad, what's painful, what isn't painful, and then you grow your own culture as you age. And so you need to respect your own culture. ask elders. I mean, we love to be asked. I mean, it's our job, and we will step up. So, thank you.
Thank you. So Beverly, did you, I can read it again. What do you feel this time is asking of us?
A lot. The longer you live, the more you realize the amount of experiences that you've had, and in working and in having a family and going through all the things that you go through with a family, and the things that you learn along the way. It's not easy, is it? Living through drama and tragedy and all the things that can happen to a family. We've lived through that a little more than you have because we've lived longer. And so I really believe that it is up to us to pass that along the best way we can. And so you find your way. With Linda, she does it with her students, and I do the same thing with my students. And you don't just attack them with all these facts. You just play it as they want it. They'll ask you when something happens that is difficult for them to handle, and then they'll ask you in their own way. So what you need to do as a teacher or a mentor is to get to know your students as well as you can. And so you can read those moments when they're asking you something a little bit deeper than what they're actually saying.
Can I add to my comment real quickly?
Yes, that's fine.
One of the things that I've noticed, and I've been a licensed teacher for way over 50 years, but what I learned at a young age that, teachers know stuff, but not near as much as what their students know. And so I truly feel it, for myself anyhow, being a professor or instructor, what a mentor, it's my responsibility to bring out the strength of the individual I'm mentoring or I'm teaching. They already know, but it is my responsibility to help them to understand that and bring that up, build their self-esteem, and give them the courage because they know it. They just don't know they know it.
Thank you, Aswali. Thank you for all those answers. I just feel so important. All the things that you said to listen. And for me, it was firsthand experience. I'm so grateful the last, 5 years that we've been really helping my father in the fields because we didn't know we were going to be the ones doing it this year. And I didn't realize how hard it was to take care of those huge fields and to make sure that we're doing it right and that we're going to bring in the crops like my father did. And so we did our best. You can see I'm a different shades of color. We all got out there and we did the work. Hawthorne was there to help us. Did it by hand, planted the big fields. So it's really important that we all listen and remember that we have our resources at home. Go and sit and talk to them like they're all encouraging you to do. And for the young ones, be brave like these all. They're all brave up here, sitting up here and sharing what they know, the experiences that they've had. So you just want to always remember that. Okay, so we're going to take a question here. What if your elders don't know any traditions because they have forgotten?
I'd like to say, for me, every single day I put down my stema. And I think it's the same like with what Hawthorne was like when he did his thank yous. When you thank the Creator and the spirits for this day, you need to get quiet because they say that's when those spirits they want to see what you're doing, and it's, and then they'll listen to you. There's this beautiful word in Dino Taganug. They'll try to whisper to you, now do this. And so that tag is you listen to them, they listen to you. So the guidance can come that way, you know, so every day, and it might be different. Every day it's gonna be different. So like I there's lots of things in my life I would have thought, I'm never gonna do that. But then I'm being told, yes, you are. So okay, I have to learn. I look out in the audience, I see some people that I know, we all go to that same elder up in Canada, Oqawtoynani, very knowledgeable elder. Sometimes I feel bad for them because they get too many people that are like knocking on their door. But those gifts, like these elders here, what gifts? Make sure you find one. I'm old myself, but I've always had an elder lady that I go to find out more information
Thank you.
and to check I'm saying doing things right.
I have a sad response to that. And all of the people, the babies, the infants, which were ripped from their mother's arms by the soldiers and taken away to residential school, oftentimes never to be heard or seen again. And that has affected our cultural bank, if you will. And a lot of elders may not know. And the biggest deficit that I see, now these are very young elders, but specifically parents, Indian parents have never been taught how to be a parent. And it shows up everywhere, every day. And so that's really tough on our society. And society looks down on us because, you know, they think, well, you know, those folks don't even know how to raise a kid. Well, where did they learn from? Nowhere. So I just wanted to add that. That kind of helps justify whenever you're working with different folks to understand that you may have to help them along a bit to see what you can do. And the rest of it, I just forget. I don't. So, anyway, it is what it is.
I think that that just puts more responsibility on us as elders is to assume the kids don't know. That's why they're asking you. And so you just teach, whether they ask you to teach or not. You just do it. So that would be my advice this time.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I guess something that's been helpful for me is, like, our elders aren't just our grandparents, our parents. One time my friend August said to me, he was like, you know, we're Native, we've got 10 grandmas and 20 grandpas. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, every elder in your community is your elder. They don't have to be directly related to you. That's your elder. So there's a lot of elders, I guess, is what I'm saying. Hodgepodge knowledge, I guess.
I guess for us, this is kind of a little bit sad too. They always told us, that the old ones always told us that everything we're practicing is because of the world is changing. It is gonna be lost. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's all gonna go away. But as long as we remember our original purpose and remember the Uyi and remember the Usloa to hold the fields and take care of the land. Because the Tutskwa is our Tutskwa Ikotsi. Tutskwa, the land is our life. As long as we remember that, we'll be okay. Yeah, that's a little of what I say.
Valerie. Okay, so I just want to thank the panelists for coming up here and sharing with us. I always feel sad because I won't see you guys all till next year. Hopefully there's going to be a next year and another conference. I know there was talk of moving the conference to a different place, but I don't know all the details of that. But I just want to thank all of you for your heartfelt responses. And thank you for being brave enough to speak your truth. Esquali.
Wow.